Alrighty. Welcome back, guys, to another book review. It's funny. You watch these videos in order, and I bet you see the volume going down. it's as I churn through this huge pile of books. We're slowly. These are all the books that are being reviewed. Hopefully, I'll get them all done today, so we'll get all caught up. But anyway, as you may know, I do these in batches. So something I picked up from was it Tim Ferriss or whatever, batching, to make sure you do things efficiently. Just do them all at once. Wait till you got a big pile of work to do and just do it all at once. And that's what we're doing here. So that's why if you see me on videos, I'm wearing the same thing. I don't wear the same thing every day, although actually I kind of do, but because I work from home. But yeah, you guys don't care. Today, we'll be talking about Make It Stick: The Science of Successful Learning. All right, you too long didn't watch, fellows out there. It's a good book. It's pretty good, pretty well researched. I would recommend the book. Stick around if you want to know why. All right. So, Science of Successful Learning by Peter C. Brown, Henry L. Roediger III, and Mark A. McDaniel. As you can see, A Chronicle of Higher Education, Top 10 Books on Teaching. It's a good book. Let's just read some of the blurbs on the back. It says, a lively and engaging book on the science of learning. This is a must. Benefits greatly from its use of stories about people who have achieved mastery of complex knowledge and skills. The authors weave together stories from an array of learners, surgeons, pilots, gardeners, schools, and university students to illustrate their arguments about how successful learning takes place. A rich and resonant book and a pleasurable read by Hazel Christie of Times Higher Education. I won't read the other ones. You guys don't care. Let's read the inside blurb. I think we forgot to do this on the last one. I don't think that was the inside blurb. It says, so to most of us, learning something the hard way implies wasted time and effort. Good teaching, we believe, should be creatively tailored to the different learning styles of students and should use strategies that make learning easier. Make It Sticks turns fashionable ideas like these on their head. Drawing on recent discoveries in cognitive psychology and other disciplines, the authors offer concrete techniques for becoming more productive learners. Memory plays a central role in our ability to carry out complex cognitive tasks, such as applying knowledge to problems never before encountered or drawing inferences from facts already known. New insights into how memory is encoded, consolidated, and later retrieved have led to a better understanding of how we learn. Grappling with the impediments that make learning challenging leads both to more complex mastery and to better retention of what was learned. Common study habits and practice routines turn out to be counterproductive. Underlining and highlighting, rereading, cramming, and single-minded repetition of new skills create the illusion of mastery, but gains fade quickly. More complex and durable learning comes from self-testing, introducing certain difficulties into practice, waiting to restudy new material until a little forgetting has set in, and interleaving the practice of one skill or topic with another. Speaking most urgently to students, teachers, trainers, and athletes, Make It Sticks will appeal to all those interested in the challenge of lifetime learning and self-improvement. So Peter C. Brown is a writer and former management consultant. Henry L. Roediger III is a James S. McDonald Distinguished University Professor of Psychology at Washington University in St. Louis. Marco A. McDaniel is a professor of psychology and director of the Center of Integrated Research in Cognition, Learning, and Education, Circle, at Washington University in St. Louis. Say Belknap Press of Harvard University Press. Okay. whatever that means. Good book. Good book. Yeah. It talks. It does. This is a referenced book. Some of the books that we'll talk about later today that's not going to be in this review just assert things and don't actually have any references, but there's tons of references in this book. It's more in the kin of Kahneman's book or whatever. I can't remember the name of the book. It's already drawing my mind. I need to read this book again to make it stick. Oh my god, it's gonna drive me nuts. Let's see here. It's right here. Thinking Fast and Slow. Daniel Kahneman. It's more a line in that book where the book is written by people who actually know about the field, do research in the field, which is always a very good thing. A lot of times it will be just a journalist or right, air quotes and journalists, but a lot of times it'll be writers that are researching a topic. Not that they can't come to good conclusions, just that they may not have the technical understanding to understand the subtleties of the topic. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So this is more. It doesn't. It's not as boring as I found Thinking Fast and Slow to be a trudge to read through, but this went through really quickly, in part because this is one of the, I think, the first, if not one of the first books that I finally broke down and started doing using Audible for during my morning walks. So I flew through this book because I can do the Audible at like 2 times speed and just fly through books, and I did so with this book. And it was a good read. Listen. We're gonna call it reading. But there's some really good points in a book. I mean, you could read about it. The points in the book and other places, but I think let me see. The contents is: learning is misunderstood. To learn, retrieve. Mix up your practice and embrace difficulties. Avoid illusions of knowing. Get beyond learning styles. Increase your abilities and make it stick. And the first chapter is talking about how there's a lot of folk knowledge around teaching and learning and stuff like that that's not actually all that effective. One would be like the flashcard, where you're just doing one specific topic over and over and over and over and over again, and yeah, you're going to burn that into your memory in the short term, but as soon as you stop, because there's no additional context tied to that knowledge, as soon as you stop reinforcing it, it's just going to go away, right? We all have experienced that. Like, I used to cram for my geography exams, like literally like right before, and I'd have it in my memory and I'm ace the test, but I mean, I don't know where Zimbabwe is now. I mean, I could have pointed it to you back then, but I know it's in Africa. At least I think it's in Africa, but which little squiggle of lines is Zimbabwe or the Congo or whatever, I don't know. That kind of stuff, right? Yeah, so then the next one is to learn, is retrieve. So yeah, it talks about how you need to, whenever you get new knowledge, you need to immediately find a way to start recalling it, like immediately. And one of the ways is like, instead of just highlighting in the book or whatever, when you get done with your session, write a summary of whatever it is that you're trying to remember. Try to summarize the knowledge that you've learned, and that you're recalling what you learned. That retrieving is reinforcing the knowledge, and the synthesizing, because you're condensing it and rephrasing it. that synthesis is also reinforced in the memory. So that's one of the key points. Another one is mix up the practice. Don't focus on one thing. I think in the book it uses the example of, yeah, this is in the book. I can't believe I'm remembering this. um, Baseball practice, pitching practice, batting practice, where it talks about a study where there were batting practice, and they split up the different cohorts of the batting in the study. They split up the cohorts of the batting practice. One cohort, they got all curveballs, and then they got all fastballs, and then they got a set regimen. This is, we're going to do 10 curveballs, and we're going to do 10 I don't know about baseball. 10 fastballs and 10 changeups. I think those was called. So you knew what was coming. They knew what was coming each time, and the students could be prepared in that repetition. That's the thing. You focus on that one thing at a time. You practice that one thing, and then you move to the next thing and practice that, and then practice that thing. And then the contrast group, they just threw random. It was the same distribution. There's still 10 changeups, still 10 fastballs, still 10 curveballs, but they changed up the orders like constantly, and they didn't know which one you were going to get when they did the batting practice. They just had to be prepared. And at the end of the study, and this, honestly, most people, I think, should probably expect this to happen, but for some reason we don't really think of it this way, like studying this way. But when we laid out the experiment example, everybody should say, well, yeah, the people who got the random assortment is going to do better, because they had to adapt. They had to constantly, that difficulty. They had to be prepared, right? They're thinking about it. And that's the scenario that you have in gameplay, right? Is you don't know the pitch. You don't know the pitcher is going to give you a fastball or a changeup or whatever other words they have for the different types of balls that can be thrown. That's the scenario that's the real scenario you're supposed to be practicing for. So that's the point it makes up, is that don't study one subject at a time and then go to one subject. And like, study a little bit on this one subject and then take a break, and then study another subject and take a break, and keep interspersing. And if you are using flashcards, have flashcards from different subjects all on the same deck. That's one way you could apply. But it's try not to. The whole point is try not to segment the learning too much. You want that that randomness to learning. Mix it up. It also says mixing. I know that I've heard this before. It's like in learning, there's always like, you want the student to be just at the edge of challenge or whatever, and they're gonna learn optimally if they're just at the edge of their capabilities or something. But apparently, the research does not bear that out. The research says no, give them a real challenge and let them struggle. And obviously it needs to be achievable. You're not gonna it's not gonna be impossible for their difficulties, but yeah, give them a real challenge. Give your students a real challenge, and let them struggle. And that through that struggle, they're going to retain a whole lot more knowledge, because they're going to have to grab at more straws and pull more things together to try and solve the problem. Versus just, there's no memory. If there's just barely a hint of challenge, you're not really going to put a whole lot of mental effort behind it, are you? At least that's the way I rationalize it in my head. Who knows how it really works, but that was it. They're saying is embrace. It says here, embrace difficulties. Avoid illusions of knowing. Honestly, I don't remember exactly what that one was. I think that was like funny for this book. Avoid illusions of knowing. I think this was like only having flashcards. That's your only thing you're using to study. And maybe you get really good at flashcards, but whenever you go to, I don't know, if there's an essay on the topic, maybe you completely fall flat because you're not prepared to, synthesize that knowledge or whatever. Basically, challenge yourself in a variety of different ways to avoid illusions of knowing. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what that chapter was. And it really gets this get beyond learning styles. So the whole point of that was that learning styles is a myth. Everybody, of course, has a preferred learning style, but everybody learns best when as many different ways of interacting with the subject is part of the curriculum. So a teacher doesn't have to come up with a style for visual learners, and then a style for readers, and then a style for auditory learners, and a style for physical learners. Everybody should be using all of those styles all at once, all the students, because that's going to lead to the most retention. There should be one. Obviously, people are going to have a preference. Like I love watching tech talks or whatever and everything, but some people like reading on technical subjects or whatever. But learn best when I'm reading and I'm writing and I'm watching lectures on technical topics. That's how I learn all of it. You need all of it. That's the whole point of that. And then, yeah, I don't remember what increase your abilities and make it stick there, but anyway, it's a good book. It is a nice hardback. I like my hardback books, and this is one is of acceptable quality. I don't feel like it's a particularly cheap book. This is definitely not in the realm of the. This is like proper hardback book. This is not one of the El Cheapo print on demand books that I've been seeing more. I've got one coming up. I'm just like, it's a hardback book, and I'm like, why? You should just release only on paperback, because the hardback was really terrible. Anyway, you guys don't care. It's nice, decent font, hardback. It's a standard font size. It's not a big font size, but it's nice readable font size, and yeah, I think it's a nice physical book. Of course, I didn't read it physically, so I listened to it instead. But anyway, yeah, it's a good book. If you, I think it's mostly more useful for students and stuff like that. So this actually isn't really all that useful for me, due to the challenges that I face day to day now. I'm past that phase of life where I have to focus more on recall, like explicit, like factual knowledge and repetition and stuff. I'm not, trying to remember all of the, human anatomy or anything like that. I'm not having to memorize all of the parts of the cell and everything like that. I don't have to recall that kind of stuff anymore. But I did find it really useful. I think, especially the focus on resynthesizing knowledge and engaging with it as much as possible, and embracing the difficulty, the challenge of learning is a part. Because I've always felt that. I've never been one to shy away from learning a new subject or whatever just because it was hard. In fact, I always enjoyed the challenge. Like I didn't feel like I really learned anything worthwhile if it wasn't challenging to learn. That's why I study physics. Not that I was good at math or science, math or math per se, or even school in general, but it was challenging. That's why I studied it. It was the hardest thing I could think of, and that's what we went for. Like, should have just did computer science. I would have made straight A's, but we didn't do that. We studied physics instead, like an idiot, and wasted money. Well, I didn't waste money. It was a good. I'm not gonna knock my study of physics. It was great, but if I was more savvy. I probably would have a degree. If I had studied computer science instead of physics, I would have had a degree and I would have had a high GPA if I had studied computer science instead of physics. But that's what I studied. Anyway, you guys don't care. Anyway, catch you guys later. We got more to come. And I'll see you guys next time.